That's the closest I've gotten to winning a game in a while. So I'm going to talk about Nightmare Team, my Growl video parody of the Dream YouTube channel, because it had a big history. As a matter of fact, it all started on the 17th of May 2018, when a dude who went by Shiro Tsubaki made a Growl guild called the Fuma Clan. And Zach and I joined up and met all the iconic members, including Shiro's good friend Kotaro, who gave us training, Sasha, who Shiro said was his master, who was always drunk and wild, Jewel, Sans, and Mr. Londonuts, who we mucked around. And other members who were really cool, I've mostly forgotten. But in 3 days, this guy had made a ninja guild with several iconic members. The day after we joined, when we got on Growl, the guild was in turmoil. In fact, if I remember correctly, when I checked the list of members, it had dropped down to just Shiro, me and Zach. Some drama had been started by this punk in the guild called Azrael, which resulted in Shiro and his girlfriend Fayako having a lover's quarrel, and everyone ended up leaving the guild or being kicked by Shiro. Well, he was truly enraged. When I asked him about Fayako, he very bluntly said to me, "She is plastic." The guild had reached its lowest point, and Sasha was drunk again. Actually, she was always drunk, but everyone had gotten like a second-hand hangover from her. But Zach and I sought to restore the guild to its former glory, and Shiro said okay. So we sought out the other ninjas, and I was able to remember at least 7 of them from the top of my head, so it's kind of easy to find everyone. The first guy we got back was Mr. Londonuts, of course, and we eventually got everyone else back, more or less. Even Azrael was like, alright, I'll come back. I'm like, oh, that was easy. There was just Fayako, who was reluctant to return, even though Shiro was willing to accept her back. And this edgelord dude, Ryota, who was like, I'm not coming back. He was a cool dude, so I was like, come on man, like what did the whole drama have to do for you anyway? Fayako ended up saying, I'll only come back if Ryota comes back. And we were like, alright, sure, easy actually. But then Ryota said, I'm not coming back unless Fayako comes back. So the way that worked was neither of them were going to come back. I was like, can one of you just join? Come on. To wrap up the Fuma Clan saga, Mr. Londonuts said, I'm leaving guys. So I set up a small farewell celebration at my house with Shiro and Zach to give our goodbyes to our Growlian friend. Then he said, I'm not actually leaving, haha. Then we were like, great, we just did this for nothing. And jokingly, we were like, no way. He was fooling us into thinking he was leaving. It was a feat only a true ninja could accomplish. Mr. Londonuts became like our hero. Skip ahead a tiny bit, most of the members had left again and were nowhere to be seen, including Shiro Tsubaki. It was like a big smoke bomb. 4.5 years later, I made Nightmare Team. The end. You may be wondering, what did the whole Fuma Clan story have to do with that? Well, I was planning my video for quite a bit and wanted to be quite ambitious with it by having people on a Discord call, which I personally had never done before for a Growl video. The whole idea was we'd be giving this stranger in Growl a bunch of trials, which would have several Minecraft references, and we'd be acting like we don't know what Minecraft was. Like, I've never heard of such a thing. But while I was planning it, Joe messaged me for the first time, saying, Hi Zach, it's Joe from Fuma Clan, I'm Jules' friend. And I think Jewel messaged me as well around that time saying the same thing. I was like, hey Jewel, I didn't remember Joe, so I asked him, were you in any of my Growl videos? And he said, probably, but it wasn't. We checked. Then I asked, what was your name before Joe? It can't have just been Joe this entire time. I was like, were you Sans? And he said, yes, I was Sans. And I was like, so you were. He was one of the 1,000 players who cosplayed as Sans. I still remember there being a Sans in Fuma Clan, just barely, and Jewel as well. They were the less prominent members of the guild, so I was like, well, it's settled then, and I continued playing my Growl video. I reached out to Infinite Pixels, a prominent Growl tuber, to place the Pigman in my video. And I made another Growl tuber called Manny Growl as well, while asking around for actors. And I was like, god damn, this video will be huge. I told Joe I was planning a Growl video as we were talking, and he asked if he could be in it. I was like, hell yeah, it'll be your first video with me. A few days later, I was struggling to find like the victim of the video, and Joe was consistently asking, when are you gonna do the video? And I was like, this guy's really getting on my nerves. But then I was like, oh, maybe he can be the one who play around with in the video. Found another guy called Iron Man who looked like he would be perfect for the video. So I was like, alright, this is it. Iron Man, Joe and Manny were all on at the same time, so we were gonna do this video right then and there. Iron Man found the final actor who had been in it, and he directed it to me, this girl Skylar. And I was like, do you wanna be my Growl? And she was like, no. I was like, I'm Iron Man's friend, bruh. And she was like, alright, fine. Manny wasn't down to use voice chat, so I decided only Joe and I should be in the Discord call then. I finally hopped in call with Joe for the first time, and as he unmuted to say hi, his mic started buzzing, people were yelling in the background, someone was frying stuff, hounds were barking, the local motorbike gang were riding in circles around his house, and roosters were crowing. I was like, alright, the show must go on, let's do this. So straight away I did my whole nightmare voice, and we were on the same page. He was acting like us already, which is funny. Naturally, he didn't acknowledge the Minecraft references at all, but it had structure, which was the main thing. The second and final shoot was a whole week later, because there was a really small window of time when me, Joe, and Infinite Pixels would be on at the same time, and I ended up missing it anyway, so I was like, screw this. And thankfully Manny, the MVP, had a pig hat of his own, so we used him instead. After the very first film shoot, Joe and I were still in call. It was kind of awkward. It's been that way since I stopped recording the video like 15 minutes earlier. I was gonna say, alright, thanks for being in it, we'll do the rest soon, I'm gonna go. But instead I said, remember the good old days from Fuma Clan, remember Mr. Donuts? And he said, dude, that was me. And I said, what? I started to just like dream when he saw the piglin dancing. I donuts a whole shrine for Mr. Donuts in my guild house, honoring him as the greatest ninja, and he tricked me again into thinking him and Sans are two different people. On the next film shoot with Zach, when we did the whole dragon fight, we broke the news to him.
This is the one we made a whole funeral for?
Yeah!
Yeah, man.
What the fuck?
Oh, classic Love Nuts. I've been there since the start.
Donuts, yep. He's the real YouTuber. In that, I finally covered everything I did on YouTube in 2022. But what came after that was true horror.